afternoon, everyone. My name is Brandon Doyle, Marketing Manager here at Blue Corona, and we're here to talk with you today about Nextdoor Advertising, the next big platform for local companies. I hope some of you in attendance here today are familiar with the Nextdoor platform. It's an up-and-coming social networking type platform that we're going to walk through the ins and outs of today, and more importantly, how you can leverage this platform to generate more leads and sales for your business while simultaneously differentiating your brand online. So before we get started, a couple administrative pieces out of the way. If you have questions throughout today's webinar, feel free to navigate at any point throughout the webinar over to your GoToWebinar panel. You'll see a little questions box, and you can click the little triangle next to the questions, and at any point you can type in your question, and of course we'll dedicate time at the end of today's webinar to answer any questions that do come in. So again, I want to thank you for joining us here today, and before we really jump into Nextdoor Advertising, I did want to set the stage for who Blue Corona is. Some of you might have been wondering what Blue Corona is, who we are, and what we do. So at Blue Corona, we are a full-service digital marketing agency. So what that means is we help you generate more leads and sales online through your website and different advertising channels. We have a team here made up between two different offices that really helps you from everything from website design and development to search engine optimization, or SEO for short, pay-per-click advertising, or PPC for short. Some of you might know pay-per-click or paid advertising as SEM. We also supplement those campaigns with things like nurture campaigns, email marketing, review solicitation, and review platform management on your behalf. So if it's online and it's advertising, we can do it. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started with our webinar. So what we're going to cover today, again, we're going to focus the majority of our time on Nextdoor Advertising, where your brand hits home. That's what Nextdoor likes to say. And we're going to cover everything about the types of ads you can run, to the cost of that, results that we've seen for a few clients here, as well as what the value of Nextdoor brings to companies like you. We're also going to cover the Blue Corona and Nextdoor relationship and what value that does provide to you as a local business owner or manager. And then, of course, how to get started, and we're going to talk about and answer any questions that you guys might have along the way. So again, Nextdoor Advertising is all about where your brand hits home. And Nextdoor, if any of you are unfamiliar with it, Nextdoor has really been running in-app sponsored posts for a little over 2 years now. And over the course of that time, Nextdoor has helped other companies run hundreds of campaigns. And most of those campaigns have been regionally focused and primarily in the past home service related businesses, as well as large national brands. When I say large national brands, if you're on Nextdoor yourself, you probably see ads similar to what I do for companies like CPI Security, Ring Doorbell, Match.com, very recognizable brands across the nation. And up until this point, Nextdoor historically hasn't worked with any local businesses, primarily, again, large national or international companies or even regional companies, which is why the Blue Corona and Nextdoor relationship is so advantageous for you. Again, we'll touch on that here a little bit later in the webinar, but it really does open the door for local companies like everyone in attendance today to advertise on Nextdoor and reach essentially a brand new audience and a platform that is virtually untapped by local businesses. So let's first explore a little Nextdoor 101, if you will. So on Nextdoor, the primary use case is people asking for recommendations, and that's what you see here on your screen. And when people are uncomfortable or uneasy making a buying decision, oftentimes large buying decisions, whether it be a home improvement, they're looking to build an addition on their home and it's going to cost thousands of dollars, or potentially they're looking for a financial advisor to manage some of their assets, legal advice, large purchasing decisions that can have an impact on their real life. And when people are uncomfortable they often turn to those who they know best, right? Close family and friends, coworkers, or in Nextdoor's case, neighbors. And when Nextdoor users are asking for these recommendations, there's all sorts of topics that anyone can ask about. And you see some of those topics here on the screen. And while these ones aren't necessarily business related, it gives you a sense of what people are talking about. So those topics often range from anything from pool parties and local hangouts to I see a lot of lost pets in my neighborhood, unfortunately, as well as different volunteer activities, contractor recommendations. Again, I spoke to the home improvement, as well as kind of operating as a neighborhood Craigslist, if you will, for curb alerts, free pickups, or selling a cocktail table from a mid-century cocktail table. So people are asking their friends and their neighbors for these recommendations. And again, they range from everything from home improvement projects to financial advice and legal assistance, and so on. And people on Nextdoor, they're rarely asking for things like, what's your favorite sports team, or what favorite pair of running shoes do you recommend? And that's really because people are looking for advice from other consumers who are of the same socioeconomic status to give them recommendations for large buying decisions or large decisions that are going to impact their livelihood. So again, it's not the same as Facebook. There's not going to be any political rants on there. And if you're on Nextdoor yourself, you know for a fact as well that you don't see any of those things. But the point of Nextdoor isn't to be a social network that entertains you. It's about creating a utilitarian, practical place to have a conversation around recommendations like we've been talking about. And when it comes to advertising, we need to first take a step back and understand that local context matters, right? A vast majority of consumers buy local. And it's a study shown that 90% of consumers actually make most of their purchases within 15 minutes of their home or work. And if you're like me, I also live within I also work within 10 or 15 minutes of my home. So that pretty much means that I'm making my large purchase decisions really from within the same status of both work, for business and pleasure. And when someone sees an ad on Nextdoor, they see a large brand, they're more likely to gravitate towards a local businesses because that's why people are on Nextdoor. Not only that, there's $6 trillion worth of annual consumer spending is driven by word of mouth recommendation each year, and that's only going to continue to grow. And on top of that, when you look at 76% of all Nextdoor members and users have said in a study that they are influenced by a neighbor's recommendation, starts to paint the picture of the locality aspect. Everyone in attendance here today runs some sort of small or medium-sized business in a localized setting, and I'd be willing to guess based on the registrants that most of you get your clients within that 15 minutes span or radius of work or home. Maybe it goes a little bit further, maybe 25, 30 minutes. But people are buying locally, they're buying a lot locally, and they're influenced by those around them. So again, for over communication, on Nextdoor, neighbors are really in the recommendation mindset. And you're probably wondering, again, what makes Nextdoor so unique and different from other social networks? First and foremost, Nextdoor is a private social network. That means you have to verify your identity. Every single user on Nextdoor has been verified as a real person. So unlike Facebook, where you might get page likes from people over in India or overseas in China, Japan, or wherever, there's none of that on on Nextdoor, because everyone is verified. And that verification process means that someone gets a postcard sent directly to their mailbox, and if you're on Nextdoor, you probably received a similar postcard as well. But you get sent a postcard after you sign up, and that has a verification code on it. And that verification code it allows you to log into the Nextdoor platform for the very first time. Okay, so you can't even log into the platform and use it, in that 4 or 5 day span until you get that verification code. And again, it's the only private social network or social networking type platform that exists today. Not only that, on Nextdoor, You want to make sure that you're targeting precise neighborhoods with your advertising. For those of you in attendance, maybe you manage an urgent care or walk-in clinic, right? You want to make sure that your advertising or the advertising dollars you do spend are spent in the neighborhoods or in the areas where people actually visit you from, right? They're going to go to the closest urgent care to either their work or their home, or an urgent care that close by to them that they're already been to or familiar with. Same thing goes for home improvement contractors. They want to work with people who are local to them, and the same principle applies for lawyers and attorneys, as well as financial advisors, and so on. And on Nextdoor, you can really target users at very precisely down to the neighborhood level. And that's really unique from platforms like Google Ads, where Google is using users' IP addresses either from their laptop computer or their their mobile phone, their iPhone or their Samsung Galaxy. They're picking up that IP address to determine your location. Well, with Nextdoor, through that verification process, we know that John Smith lives at 123 Main Street, and you can target John Smith because he fits a certain demographic that you're looking for very precisely, unlike through traditional internet marketing. Now let's talk about the reach of Nextdoor. Again, this is part of what makes Nextdoor so valuable. And in the U.S., Nextdoor is being used by over 85% of neighborhoods, and this statistic might actually be a little bit outdated. This actually came from Nextdoor themselves, but we've seen studies across the web that have shown grown to potentially even more than 90% of U.S. neighborhoods using Nextdoor platform. And you can see here on the map, there are some areas of the country that aren't, and those tend to be the very, very rural areas of the country, throughout the Midwest. But along the East Coast, the West Coast, the Southeast, and the Southern United States, we can see that Nextdoor users are pretty heavily populated. And in some major markets, Nextdoor has a neighborhood penetration of 40%, 40% of household penetration, excuse me. But every market is really different in size and going to have different users, different demographics. But regardless, Nextdoor is found everywhere. It's in over 170,000 plus neighborhoods throughout the U.S., and it's found people are using it in all 50 states. So from New York to California, Alaska, Hawaii, everyone, every single state is on Nextdoor. So not only is the reach of Nextdoor very widespread, Nextdoor users represent a very, very, very valuable demographic, particularly for those of you in attendance today. And when looking at that demographic, we see breakdown like what's on your screen here. Over 77% of all Nextdoor users are married with children, okay? And 60% or more, and that's growing, are female with an average household income of over $100,000. So we see married with children, predominantly female, slightly skewed towards females, with an average household income of over $100,000 a year. And not only that, 74% of all Nextdoor users are homeowners. So again, that leaves another 26% for renters. When we think about renters, that might not be a demographic that you necessarily want to target, maybe because of the income level of a renter isn't just as high as you would like for one of your clients or patients or someone that you're going to service. But the majority are homeowners, and those homeowners are using Nextdoor on their mobile device. Here in 2019, more than 50% of all website traffic is generated from a mobile device, and less than half is being generated by laptops and desktops as well. So to sum that all up, we're really seeing older affluent families and homeowners who are using the Nextdoor platform to make those large buying decisions. And those are everyone from young families who are just getting started, maybe they're a first-time homeowner, to the baby boomer generation that are using Nextdoor. So again, an older, affluent demographic that has money to spend on these significant purchases or investments for their life. So we're going to switch gears a little bit now. We've talked about the demographics and, again, the great household income and what that looks like. But what about the actual targeting of it? I spoke briefly about how Google Ads, for example, uses things like IP address, previous search history, your location settings from your phone and laptops, browsers, to determine where you're located. And then when you optimize your website for search through SEO, or you invest in Google Ads, it's relying on that information in combination with the user's search query, things like urgent care near me, to determine where that user is located and where their intent lies, right? Where they want it to travel, or where they want to go visit a business. And that's really where Nextdoor starts to come into play as well. So with Nextdoor advertising, it's really efficient targeting that is aligned to match your ad creative. So specifically looking at the location targeting, there's really kind of three different ways to target users on Nextdoor. At the largest net of your advertising, we see the DMA, or the designated market area. That is essentially your Nielsen TV market. And that is, of course, going to be the largest. So here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I'm located, not necessarily the biggest market in the country, but, a pretty significant one. And we understand that given that people are buying locally, consumers are purchasing things locally within 15 minutes of work, maybe you don't service, or your clientele isn't from the entire DMA area that you're located in which case we can take it one step further down to the zip code level. And essentially what that means is that through Nextdoor advertising, you can actually pick and choose the zip codes that you want to be advertising in to serve your ads to. So let's say, for example, I'll use some neighborhoods here in Charlotte. My neighborhood is called Oakhurst. I don't know the average household income, but I see ads all the time. And right next door is a neighborhood called Plaza Midwood. Happens to be where my office is located. However, as an advertiser, if you wanted to advertise in Oakhurst, but not in Plaza Midwood, even though they border each other, you have the opportunity to do so because they may have different zip codes. So that's really where you can get pretty selective, and with the demographic targeting that you have at your disposal, you can also leverage that in combination with the Nextdoor ads in order to effectively target the market that you want to be targeting. And taking it down and dialing in that targeting a little bit more, you can advertise at the household level. However, at Blue Corona, we don't really recommend that. And the reason being, at the household level, and the way Nextdoor advertising works, with Nextdoor advertising, you pay for impressions. In other words, you pay for people to see your ads. And the minimum impression level per month with Nextdoor advertising is 200,000 impressions. Okay, so in order to invest with Nextdoor, they have to say at the area you want to target, within your zip code list that you provided to us, if there is not 200,000 impressions available or 200,000 ad views available, you still have to pay their advertising minimum. And when you start to think about dialing that down into the household level, that's where you really start to get kind of too fine-tuned, if you will, and really have to open it back up. We recommend at the zip code level because it's that happy medium between picking and choosing literal households and between the Nielsen DMA or your television market that may be just a little bit too broad. So what do Nextdoor advertisements look like, right? And if you're on Nextdoor, the screenshot on the screen here right now probably looks very familiar to you. So there's three types of ways that your ads can show up in Nextdoor, or you get those impressions in front of Nextdoor users. Again, first and foremost, more than 80% of Nextdoor users are using the platform on their mobile device. So on the left, you can see an advertisement there from State Farm, a very large insurance agency, as you all know, and what that looks like in the app, in the Nextdoor app on a mobile phone. So the advertisement really shows up right on your device, right in the middle of your timeline. So Jerry down the street might have posted for recommendations for something he needs, and then right underneath that, maybe your ad shows up. And in order to get one of those 200,000 impressions, someone actually has to scroll by your ad or stop and look at your ad. If the ad doesn't show up in their own timeline, maybe they just didn't scroll far enough, that doesn't count against you as an impression. You get to keep that impression and serve it to someone who actually sees you. So we have in-app sponsored posts like you see there on the left. And then in the middle, we have essentially the same type of in-app sponsored post, but this is across a desktop device. So the user interface looks very similar. However, it does just kind of blow up on the screen. It's still in the user's timeline as they scroll on their laptop or desktop computer. And then on the right, the third way to see these ads for in-app sponsored posts is through Nextdoor's daily email newsletter. So we see a screenshot there on the right on that mobile device on the right of what that looks like. And you can see here, the sponsored post is really right up top, right? It's literally saying the first thing someone does when they open that email or first thing they see is that sponsored post before the day's trending post found below it. And after this little summary here, again, you see the sponsored post in full or your advertisement in full, as opposed to kind of getting caught up in the muck between, again, what's trending in your neighborhood or the neighborhoods that you are a part of. So 3 ways: in-app sponsored posts, the timeline posts on a desktop, and then that daily email newsletter. And one of the cool things about Nextdoor Advertising is that you can really customize your content for local personalization. And what I mean by that is a couple things. Number one, you can have dynamic local ads. So you see Dunkin' Donuts advertisement here as an example. But really you can say, hey, Cindy from Charlotte, North Carolina, feeling a little under the weather, visit our urgent care or visit our walk-in clinic today and receive 10% off, your first visit or a free first visit or consultation. Just mention you found us on Nextdoor, that sort of thing. But you can really dynamically insert the location or the city or the zip code that you're targeting there as well. That really personalizes your ad to the user and really makes it, you're able to connect with the users just a little bit more. In today's digital world, it's so hard to capture people's attention. And when you start personalizing your ads through the use of dynamic content, that's when you start to see higher engagement rates. So we have our dynamic local ads, our traditional kind of Nextdoor ads, if you will. And then on the right, we have customer recommendation ads. And that is, you're literally, again, one of the primary use cases of Nextdoor is to drive recommendations, or similarly, it's kind of like reviews, right? So you can add, if you're less concerned about generating leads and more concerned about brand awareness and online reputation, you can run these customer recommendation ads where same sort of thing in the app timeline. You'll see, have you used this business? Yes, no, and yes. The user is brought to another screen that says, would you recommend this business? If so, why? And they're able to publish that publicly on Nextdoor in your neighborhood. And if they say no, that's simply it, right? There's nothing that allows them to leave a 1-star review that might damage your online reputation. It's simply, yes, you have used them, and I would recommend them, or no, I wouldn't recommend them. And if they don't recommend you, they've used you, but they say no, they don't recommend you, they're actually brought to your business page on Nextdoor. And they're able to get in touch with you through either personal outreach. You're able to connect with them so that they can kind of voice their grievances in private with you and not damage your online reputation or your reputation on Nextdoor for other users to see. And again, if they haven't used you, they simply click the I don't have it. They haven't used you, in which case no action is needed from the users. And sponsored posts have really helped see many brands see success. And these are, again, a couple large national brands mixed in with a couple local brands here. But there's a couple examples of larger companies. And we see the example on the left, Whistle. It's a GPS-based dog collar. And HelloFresh, which is the advertisement on the right, where the objective was to generate a very high return on investment from Nextdoor. Essentially how many leads and how much new revenue could be closed from Nextdoor advertising. And that's what a lot of advertisers really focus on. But Again, if you're more concerned with brand awareness or simply just creating some buzz around your company, there's also advertisers like Xfinity, for example, their types of ads that they run who simply want to expand their brand awareness and continue to make themselves a household name, and they're less concerned with just driving leads and sales. So again, Nextdoor Advertising is all about advocacy in local context, turning your neighbors or neighbors in general into brand advocates for your company, building that brand awareness, getting those recommendations to then have people reach out to you. Now, one of the other cool things about Nextdoor Advertising is that within each neighborhood, I'll go back to my Charlotte example, Oakhurst and Plaza Midwood, two neighborhoods that border each other. Within each neighborhood, there's different conversations happening, not only in organic posts from the neighbors that live in there or the members of that community, but also by the companies investing in advertising or simply have claimed their page on Nextdoor, their business page on Nextdoor. So as a business owner, you can actually insert yourself into the local conversations happening around you to give advice. So that means that, if someone's looking for some financial advice and you're a financial advisor, you could actually insert yourself into the conversation and provide that advice and build your brand and brand awareness through the local conversations that are happening and not just through the paid advertisements. So let's look at some results. And with Nextdoor Advertising, there's a minimum 3-month campaign runtime. Okay, and what you're seeing here is GAC Services. Now, this is a local heating and air conditioning company located in Maryland who has been investing in Nextdoor for actually more than 3 months now, but these are just the initial 3-month results. And you can see some really great results on the screen here. So on average, GAC Services and the owners reached over 5,500 households per day. Okay, their ads were seen by consumers in more than 5,500 households per day, which generated 1,348 website sessions. When you hear sessions, just think of visits. Someone visited their landing page that your ad drives traffic to. And out of that, they saw 133 web forms come in, 54 calls, which totaled, not all of them were qualified, but that totaled 58 new customer leads. Here at Blue Corona, as part of our digital marketing services, we like to wrap a net of tracking tools around your website when we work with you. And Nextdoor Advertising is really no different. We want to know how many people are contacting you and what quality leads those are. We actually know that these are 58 new customer leads over this 3-month time period because we have a team, an in-house team here at Blue Corona that listens to all of our clients' phone calls and identifies them: new customer, existing customer, spam. Maybe it's a marketing company calling you or someone looking to solicit their own business to you. So we like to weed those out and verify which are actually new customer leads and which aren't. And again, that campaign generated 58 new customer leads and over $20,000 of new revenue for GAC Services. And based off that, that's a visit to lead conversion rate at 4%. I don't know how many of you in attendance today know what your website visit to lead conversion rate is, but 4% is actually a pretty good conversion rate, particularly through an advertising campaign like on Nextdoor, where you're sending them to a landing page directly for Nextdoor, and they don't have the opportunity, maybe at first glance, in order to browse your entire site. Once they land on that landing page, they then do. However, 4% is a pretty good visit to lead conversion rate. On average, we see here around 1%, or anything greater than 1% is really good. 1% of anyone and everyone visiting your site actually becoming a lead that you can either service or work with is pretty high. So I talked a little bit at the beginning of the webinar about the Blue Corona and Nextdoor relationship, and I'd really like to spend a couple minutes really expanding that and making sure you guys understand in attendance today the value of this. So Blue Corona is actually providing a unique advertising opportunity both for our current clients and for prospective clients in attendance today, and that is the Nextdoor advertising opportunity. So with Nextdoor Advertising, the minimum ad spend with Nextdoor, if you as a business owner reached out directly to Nextdoor and said, hey, I want to run an in-app sponsored post, how much is that going to cost me? Nextdoor is going to tell you $15,000 per month. Okay, $15,000 per month. And as a small, medium-sized business, that's probably not feasible, right? You might not even spend $15,000 per month on all of your advertising. Maybe some of you do, but majority of small, medium-sized businesses don't. And that's really where Blue Corona comes into play. We're the only marketing agency in the U.S., which Nextdoor is a U.S.-based business, and they only advertise right now within the United States. We're the only marketing agency in the United States that has partnered with Nextdoor to basically consolidate and make it more affordable to advertise on the platform for companies like you. So we do that by essentially placing an insertion order. With Nextdoor Advertising, you're essentially buying a media advertising run, and we place that order on behalf of our clients or the companies we work with that want to invest in Nextdoor. Okay, so it brings that minimum advertising dollar down from about $15,000 down about 66%. It cuts it roughly into a third. For non-clients here at Blue Corona, that pricing is $6,750 per month. And really, that includes, a lot of things. That's $6,750 per month. That is, first and foremost, of course, your ad creative, right? Blue Corona is going to work with you to help create not only the content of the ads, the imagery for the ads. We're going to help you build and launch the landing page on your own website. We're going to take care of all that for you because we understand as a business owner, you might not have the expertise or even want to do that or even have the time to do that. And that's, of course, as your digital marketing partner, why I work here. So we handle all of that for you. We wrap our suite of tracking tools around it, monthly report meetings to review the results and make those strategic recommendations for your advertisements. And then, of course, we can also, people advertising on Nextdoor can supplement the Nextdoor campaign with other digital marketing strategies. So I talked about in the beginning of the webinar how we are a full-service digital marketing agency, from SEO and pay-per-click to local service ads to email marketing, online reputation management, and so on. We can do it all, but with Nextdoor in particular, it presents a few unique opportunities to combine maybe some marketing campaigns you're already running, regardless if it's with Blue Corona or not. Things like remarketing ads. When someone visits your landing page, we can plop the code on there, and you can run remarketing ads to those people and those visitors so that you're staying top of mind even when they leave Nextdoor, right? That cookie is going to follow them around. If you're unfamiliar with the remarketing ads, those are those ads. Some people find them annoying, but from a marketing standpoint, they're fantastic. Those are the ads that are maybe you view a pair of running shoes on Amazon, and the next thing you know, you're scrolling through Facebook and you see those exact running shoes on your timeline 10 minutes later, or shoes like them as well. And then you head over to Instagram or you're elsewhere browsing the web and you see those running shoes. Those are remarketing ads. And you can really combine the power of Nextdoor with remarketing ads if you're already paying to drive traffic to a landing page or to visit your website. You can hit them with the remarketing ads, continuing to stay top of mind even outside of the Nextdoor platform. Spoke about this briefly as well, but all of our Nextdoor advertising campaigns come with a full suite of tracking tools, and that does also include the call tagging, call listening and tagging as those new customers leave, as well as web form tagging, lead tracking, and we can bring it all the way down and work with you on revenue attribution to really help you determine the ROI from your Nextdoor advertising campaign and make those strategic recommendations, and not only strategic recommendations, but recommendations that make financial sense for you. And of course, we do have our proprietary monthly reporting platform that we kind of weave all this together in to help present it in a nice formatable way for everyone here in attendance or for those clients investing in Nextdoor advertising. So how do you get started? Which is a great question. So again, Blue Corona places those monthly advertising insertion orders on behalf of any of our clients investing in Nextdoor advertising. And that space is limited and fills up quickly because not only is Blue Corona placing that advertising order Anyone else who wants to advertise or is already advertising on Nextdoor might be able to afford that $15,000, like the Ring.coms or other larger companies. So we're competing with them for that space. So space does fill up quickly. We're actually currently accepting clients for a June 1st campaign launch, which would have to be signed up here by April 1st. We can bleed into May as well if you're really interested in getting into that June 1st ad run. We can get into May a little bit there and still get something up and running for you there as well. But basically, if you want to be included on this ad run, give us a call. There is a minimum investment of 3 months, simply because, just like any other marketing, 1 month isn't really enough time unless you're doing a large campaign, really enough time to evaluate the effectiveness of any marketing campaign, let alone a campaign like Nextdoor. So if you're interested in being included in this ad run, or you want to learn more about Nextdoor, definitely contact Blue Corona. And on the following slide, I will put up the contact information. But give us a call or contact us online, speak to a rep. And assuming everything's going swimmingly, the very first step is going to be to either first identify your targeted designated market area, again, that Nielsen DMA area, that widest net of the targeting for Nextdoor advertising, or provide a list of zip codes that you want to advertise in. And we do encourage to send as many zip codes as you can. Quite honestly, if you send over a list of 5 or 10 zip codes, it's probably not going to be enough to hit that 200,000 monthly impression mark. And simply, you'd just be paying that $6,750 just to have limited advertising in just a few select zip codes. So as many zip codes as you could provide, the better. And of course, there is the opportunity to target at the DMA level. And then once if that all sounds good to you, we would love to work with you. The next step after that is signing the agreement, and we secure the space for you. Again, we're taking orders for our June 1st campaign launch here over the next few weeks. So we would love to show you more about how Nextdoor works and some results. And we'd love the opportunity to work with you. And if you don't want to, no hard feelings. We hope you learned something today. That would be valuable takeaway. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us at bluecorona.com/contact us, particularly if you're interested in, and we'd love to work with you. So with that, I know we covered a lot here in a short amount of time, just about almost 40 minutes here. So go ahead and take a minute, 30 seconds, a minute, or 2 minutes if you need to, and type in those questions if you do have any. Again, in your GoToWebinar panel, click the little triangle next to the questions box there in your panel and type in your question. And as they trickle in, we'll just start answering them. All right, so we have some questions trickling in. So someone wants to know, again, what is the minimum budget required? Again, that number is $6,750 per month. You do have the opportunity to spend more than that if you'd like, but that is the minimum to reach that 200,000 impressions on a monthly basis. And again, that does also include everything that Blue Corona has to offer as part of this package as well: the tracking, the reporting, the account management time, that landing page creation, the ad creation as well. So there's a lot mixed into there for that $6,750, but that also includes your ad spend with Nextdoor. Is there a frequency cap on impressions? Great question. Yes, there is. So the maximum amount of times a user can see your ads on Nextdoor, regardless if it's that email newsletter, regardless if it's the in-app sponsor post, is 3 times per week or 12 per month, really whatever comes first. So if it's the last week of the month and they've only seen your advertisement 6 times, they're only going to see it 9 times because of that 3 per week. But they do have the opportunity to see it up to 12 times per month or 3 per week, kind of whichever happens first. Is there any guarantee of ROI or performance? Unfortunately not. That would be awesome. Unfortunately, no, Blue Corona does not guarantee any ROI or performance. We look at Nextdoor Advertising, this kind of new platform, this new opportunity for our clients, the way we look at any other type of advertising. There is never a guarantee. Of course, we at Blue Corona have our mantra: track, test, tweak, and repeat, and that's really the steps we take throughout all of our campaigns here, and especially with Nextdoor as well. Tweaking that landing page ad copy, the offers presented, or the call to actions, the imagery to really speak to that personalization of the ad, and the landing page experience to the consumers in order to generate more calls, more web forms, whatever your call to action is, generate more of those for you to help you generate a better ROI. Can you reserve space for longer than 3 months? Yes, absolutely. Again, we ask for a minimum 3-month commitment here at Blue Corona to give time in order to really evaluate the performance. But again, Nextdoor Advertising, not just with Blue Corona, but with all of Nextdoor, is a first come, first serve basis. So again, through our unique partnership, the only marketing agency in America that has this Nextdoor, our spots don't fill up. We're really just kind of competing with other companies, again, those large national brands who are buying those advertising spots, which is why we like to get ahead of the game when it comes to signing up for our June, July ad runs, to make sure that that spot is reserved and you're guaranteed a spot to market in the zip codes that you want to. But you can absolutely purchase 12 months if you'd like, and 3, 12 months, anywhere in between, but we really recommend starting with the 3, then evaluating it. But we're starting now in March. We've already started our second 3-month ad run. So kind of on round number 2 of the ad runs, and we're gearing up for starting a third ad run that's going to overlap with number 2 here in the next month or so. All right, I don't see any other questions coming through today. Again, I hope I answered everyone's questions. If not, please don't hesitate to even reach out to me directly if you do have questions. My email address is Brandon, BRANDON, at Blue Corona, blue like the color, Corona like the beer.com. You already received some emails from me to sign up today probably, so you may already have my information. And again, if not, that's Brandon at bluecorona.com, or you can visit us online at bluecorona.com. And if you do want to reach out and interested in getting started, bluecorona.com/contact us. All right, thank you everybody. I hope everyone learned something, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend, and looking forward to working with you. Thank you.